I have been trying for a while to figure out how to make a video about Kaze and the Wild Masks, because it is quite possibly my favorite game. But I don't really have all that much creative to say. Most of what works about it is that the gameplay, moment to moment, just feels good, feels polished. But then I realized there is a part of the game that is maybe worth a video, and that is how it handles collectibles. See, each level has 3 kinds of collectibles, and each one is doing a distinctly different thing. And now, yes, I know, like almost all things Kaze, Donkey Kong Country did it first. But I think Kaze does it better. So in today's video, I want to go through each collectible and what it does, and also how the collectibles work together to do something really beautiful. First, the green half diamonds. These are unlocked by finding portals, which lead to mini challenge levels, and then if you can complete the challenge level, you get the half diamond. So these are immediately doing 2 things for each level they are in. First, because they are hidden, they make the levels feel bigger and fuller. Kaze's levels are pretty linear, but when you add secrets that are either slightly off the path or obscured by foreground, you give the player who seeks those collectibles a sense of exploration, and exploration always feels less linear. Second, the mini challenges are a pacing break. Most of Kaze plays like a typical platformer, but these challenges play more like a Celeste room. A normal platforming level, something you'd see in like Sonic or Mario, doesn't want to kill you or hurt you. Not really. It wants to give you a lot of close calls, but if the player is dying constantly, that usually means returning to a checkpoint, which usually means redoing a lot of content. Nor is more health really a solution to that, since more health can mean not really engaging with the level obstacles in the same way. Celeste is different. It tries to kill you constantly so that when you succeed, you feel like a platforming god, but it can only do that because it chunks its levels into small, discrete sections. Basically, even if you die over and over and over again in Celeste, and believe me, I do, you aren't really redoing a lot of content because the sections are so small. So these are the 2 more common platforming game philosophies. Long sections where you constantly feel in peril but rarely actually die, and short sections where you die frequently but respawn and retry quickly. Both are satisfying. Kaze generally favors the former, but these mini challenges are its chance to give you the latter as well. But also, these require more precision than the longer levels, and so they can often explore a mechanic from a new angle. Each one of these challenges feels creative and interesting, even though none of these challenges would feel fair outside of these portals. Those of you familiar with Donkey Kong Country are likely familiar with the DK barrels that lead to these puzzle piece challenges. The portals are like the DK barrels, but Kaze improves the formula in a few ways. Its challenges are way more creative, its challenges are often themed around the level in which you find them, and its challenges can be retried instantly without backtracking. Next collectible, the Kaze letters. To be honest, these really are just the Kong letters. Kaze does not improve the idea, nor did the idea need any improvements. For those unfamiliar with either Kaze or Donkey Kong Country, these letters tend to highlight small, optional challenges. Sometimes they are hidden, and in those cases, much like the portals, they make the level feel bigger and fuller. But usually their purpose is to provide a sort of optional hard mode. Like here, there are 2 paths, but the harder path will give you a gold letter. Players who are low on health or just trying to get to the next level can skip this challenge, but players who want to really feel like they mastered the game will go for that letter. These are also very much like the strawberries in Celeste. And finally, that leaves the red crystals, which are analogous to Donkey Kong Country's bananas. But unlike bananas, your red crystal score in Kaze gets recorded, and getting 100 for each level is the goal. First and foremost, these red crystals give moment-to-moment gameplay a bit more juice. Just by walking or jumping correctly or spinning at the right moment, you can feel like you're accomplishing something a little extra. I mean, accomplishment is a huge part of why we play games, so small collectibles give us a little more of that. But some things Kaze does that really elevate this collectible. Each level has a little more than 100 crystals. That means if you miss a crystal because you didn't take a jump quite right, you don't need to backtrack to get that individual crystal. Also, if you get a health pickup and you're already full on health, the health pickup becomes bonus crystals, which makes getting 100 crystals easier. Essentially, this collectible is making an otherwise useless power-up into something useful. And lastly, just like the letters, these large crystals, which are worth 10 small crystals, can be put in places that encourage players to try something a little harder or more challenging. Actually, that creates a nice symmetry between the collectibles. Half diamonds are hidden to make the level feel bigger, letters highlight challenges but can be hidden like the half diamonds, and crystals make general movement more interesting, but can highlight challenges like the letters. But there's one more aspect of all of these that I really appreciate, and that's they are incredibly consistent between the levels. Each level has 2 half diamonds, 4 letters, and a little over 100 crystals. I know this before I begin each level, and I can track my acquisition of the collectibles to know how far into a level I am, or if I missed something. I found this half diamond, but it's the right half, so the left half must be earlier in the level. Or I found this half diamond and it is the left half, which tells me the next portal is still up ahead. I found this letter E, that means I'm probably nearing the end of the level. Or I'm at 90 gems, which means I'm probably near the end of the level. The collectibles make new and unknown levels feel predictable, but not in a bad way. As a player, I actually kind of like knowing how far into a level I am, or how many things I need to collect. That kind of predictability makes me feel comfortable, helps me feel like I can parse out my time. The level gimmicks and challenges, that's where you can surprise me, but the level length, I like to know that. Like when I sit down to a TV show, I want to know how long it will be and what genre it will be, but I don't want to know what will happen. I don't think every game should have levels that are as standardized as Kaze's levels, but the standardization of Kaze's levels is part of what makes it my favorite game, part of what makes it feel really cozy and nice to inhabit for me, and I think the collectibles are a huge part of that. So in conclusion, these are some of the ways that collectibles can improve a level. They can make a level feel bigger through exploration, they can provide mini challenges and side rooms as pacing breaks, they can provide optional difficulty spikes by highlighting in-level challenges, they can make moment-to-moment movement feel engaging and juicy, and they can provide a rhythm and predictability that makes new levels feel comfortable and familiar to players. In a poorly designed level, none of these additions will make the game more fun, but in the perfectly paced and perfectly built levels of Kaze, I think the challenge of collecting everything was the secret sauce that elevated the experience that much more. Well, it was Collectibles plus this movement tech where you spin off an ledge for extra speed, and then that spinning also gives you extra coyote time, so when you jump you're like way out here and it looks really cool and you feel like a pro gamer even though it's super easy to do. If you play Kaze, you gotta try this, it's really fun. I also think this really elevated the experience. I just love this game. Sorry, bye.